diverse First Nations and Métis people whose ancestors have walked this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to work, live, and learn on the traditional territory of Treaty 8. All right, so we have the agenda in front of us. I believe we have some additions to it here. We have 3.2, the peace officer's report. Arsenal people do as a delegation. This is on there. And nothing in there. And yes, it's yeah. We can move that up though. This is here.
Through the chair, there is the camera item. Under section 24, dealing with land matters.
Okay. And I also would like to move up in the council information part, the sponsorship request application that's in it from the Children's Resource Council, since Nal has joined us. So we'll move that up so you don't have to wait till the end of the meeting. Okay, so we've got 3.2 for the peace officers. We're moving Children's Resource Council up, and we've got one in-camera item in section 24 for Hoyt land matters. Are there any other additions to the agenda? I will entertain a motion to accept that as presented. Therese, thank you. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, scheduled delegations. Jennifer Churchill is on her way. She got caught in the road construction that we all seem to have forgotten about that's going to be happening here just east of town. So she's on her way. Once she's here with council's blessing, we'll slot her in as she's traveling a little bit. Everybody's okay with that, I hope. Public delegations. We'll, oh, hang on a second here. Yeah, okay, so public delegations. We're going to start, council will actually start with presentation for the citizens of the year that we've got here. I understand that they are present. Yeah. So our citizen of the year, Ali and Siam Mohammed, who
The ones when I get my camera would have been nice to get by this one.
run, Richard. We've done it before. 10 years past. Well, I don't think it was earlier, but it's the old days. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll just, Richard had to run to get his camera there. Oh, we can do it, okay. Yeah, sure, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
And down so you're not so tall.
Are you kidding? My neck, the way it is, it's already bad enough. So thanks so much. Thank you very much. We can't do this community without people like you. Well, you're seeing you of seat fights, that's almost what it was like picking guys. So it's great. So once Richard's back, we can snap another shot if you want there. And thank you very much, sir. All right. Okay, so public delegations, just go over your the unscheduled delegations portion of the agenda provides an opportunity for residents to address council regarding issues, events, celebrations, or concerns. To ensure a constructive and welcoming environment, please adhere to the following guidelines. Please begin with your name and a brief overview of your topic. Keep your remarks concise, limited to 5 minutes. Please maintain a respectful tone and language. Do not speak negatively of specific staff or council members. And council may not respond to questions or requests at this meeting, so please avoid asking questions particularly. So, that being said, are there any public delegations?
Hello, Carol Hamlin, Highbury resident. So I'm not sure if this is a place to address this, but I felt this would be the first place for me to start. I wanted to talk to you about some road safety that I've noticed over the last couple of years. And there's basically 2 curves that present a big problem. I know I've almost been in an accident a few times. I've witnessed an accident. So the first one is the curve in behind Pleasant View Lodge on 55A Avenue and 46A Avenue. I feel if the center line was painted, that's right in behind the old hospital.
On that S curve there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if that center line was painted, I think it would encourage people to stay in their own lane, because people will come around the outside of it and yet they'll drive on the inside of the corner of the curve, and you can't see until you get right around that corner if somebody else is coming the other way. So that's the first one.
Okay.
And the second one is that curve over by Atco. That's another one that people like to drive in the center of the road. So if there's a center line, I think that people would paint it there. I think that people would be encouraged to stay in their own lane. I know in the winter time, that road, that curve gets real narrow, and people end up driving what should be the side of the road. It's not actually part of the road, and you see a couple people, it's almost like they're being sucked into the snowbank when they go around that corner. So I'm not sure if it's the town's responsibility to paint the streets. I've noticed that that first one over by Pleasant View, the walkway was painted, the crosswalk was painted today, and the yellow curb was painted, but I think it has to go a step further and paint the center lines.
When you say the one that goes by Atco there, the one that circles around and heading towards Pleasant View there, that one there by the goes by Spotted Fawn and all that,
Yeah.
that road there? Okay.
Yeah, that curve there, because especially in the winter, I know the painted line isn't going to help in the winter, but if there was stakes out there or something, I think it would really help. But both of those, like I said, both of those I believe need the center line painted, so hopefully it'll encourage people to stay in their proper lane. That's all.
Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
Any other public delegations? We have our friends from the RCMP here.
Good evening. My name is Jason Barber, Sergeant of the Captain.
Can you hit your mic, please?
Right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you brought us a report here.
Yeah.
All right.
I noticed an error on the second page of one of them.
Okay.
At the bottom of the July report, I still have my signature blocked from when I was in high levels.
Ah,
I can change that and send you.
So, has the rest of the council had a chance to peruse this a little bit? Does anybody have any questions for? Judy?
Thank you. Were you you were in attendance at that public
Yes, I
forum
was.
that we had?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of concerns.
For breaking and enters and people walking
Yeah,
around.
so can you give us a follow-up on what you guys are doing for prevention and to address the citizens' concerns?
Yeah, we've been trying to get our guys out to make patrols. Usually during the evening when they're in town. I don't have a checklist of which streets they've done, but we noticed from June there was 8 break-in enters reported, and in July there's 4. So I don't know if it's a matter of them being reported or not reported. But the guys are out usually in early hours in the morning trying to get around town.
Yeah, that was gonna be another question, was these break-and enters, are these on peak hours, off hours? What's happening here? Are these early morning break-ins, middle of the afternoon, evening?
I'd have to look and see the times on. Most of them are in the early morning when people are asleep. And most of them, the cameras, they don't have cameras on their houses, or the neighbors don't, so we don't pick up who they are or which direction they've gone.
So what can council and the citizens do to mitigate this problem?
I think matter of getting the word out to make sure your things are locked up. Have lights in the alleyways if you have an alleyway, off your garages, make sure they're locked up, make sure your cars are locked up. Because we had a report of one guy going around trying doors and trying man doors on the garages. Last week, one of our members actually had his phone, he had his camera set up, and got a notice on his phone that there was someone trying to go in his man door. He went down the guy down the street from his house. So we managed to get him picked up that night. But it just depends on where they're hitting. We could be in one end of town and they could be in another. It's just all timing.
Thank you.
John? Anything for Sasha, do you have anything? I know we just got it, it's tough.
Thank you for presenting the report. The only thing I did notice was the drop in the June to July. There was a member of the community that posted just about exactly this, but Judy's already covered it. It was really, her concern was what we're doing about crime rates, but I see a decline, so I'm not sure where that citizens, is there just a perception that there's an increased,
Could
the
be.
numbers are showing different.
Yeah, what I've done was I've asked K-Division to send just the town of High Prairie calls, because when they were sending them before, it included our whole detachment areas, so I've been able to get it narrowed down to just town calls.
So the ones you've included here
So
are High
these-
Prairie.
yeah. So I'll be able to present those earlier for next month.
Thank you so much, Barbara.
Don?
Councillor Stenhouse sort of brought up the issues that were from that policing forum. And I know after it was done, there was numerous people who had spent time discussing specifically that one street in the drug houses that are perceived to be on there. Has that sort of been
Worked on.
attempted to sort of figure out and try and stop this kind of activity at these specific houses that they?
I've had my, our corporal from GIS, General Investigations, is looking at it. I'm not sure of the progress she's made yet on it. I'll have to check back with the nurse, she's back on this week, so.
Okay.
But she's been away a little bit on leave, so.
So from the point of view of the town and the citizens and the RCMP, did you find that forum beneficial?
Yeah, it was
For
good to
you?
hear, it was good to hear what the people in the town want it,
Okay,
and their concerns.
okay.
Yeah.
So would having another one in the fall
Yeah.
be
that-
beneficial?
that could-
Okay, good to know, thank you.
And they're in the middle.
Teresa?
No, the question has been asked, thank you.
John?
So I noticed that there were sites and two people declined to press charges. I don't know if it's in terms of victims, are you guys allowed to press charges on behalf of the citizen?
We can, like if it was an assault file or it was like a domestic, we would go with that.
Yeah.
In one of the cases, it was an ex-partner that came to get some personal belongings, so we didn't want to follow up with that. But
Thank you.
I guess the only thing is that there was 8 B&Es in June and 4 in July. Is the drop possibly you caught the guy?
could be.
Is that something that, that you're able to track, that when
Certain people.
when Joe Blow has been breaking into multiple businesses, finally catch him and put him away for whatever the 6 months, a year, 18 months, whatever, however long it is, and then when they're released, is it like, well, okay, now they're back and it's just an habitual reoffense?
Mhm.
And is that something that you guys can track?
There is an offender management program through the district, and we have one member assigned to look at offenders that want to basically change their way of life and try to get back on track. We try to work with them to get them into treatment or counseling services, that kind of thing. But habitual offenders, and it's voluntary, so they would have to be
Yeah,
willing to take part as well.
well, yeah, and you can't force somebody
Yeah.
to. Okay, any other questions from anything? Judy?
So I know this is your area to cover, but I'm sure you communicate with other detachments. So from perspective of High Prairie compared to the McLennan detachment compared to Slate Lake, where are we faring in that comparison?
I'd have to go look at some of the reports, because we could look and see, I don't know, I don't monitor Slate Lake and McDonough closely, but we do get a printout of their quarterly reports, so that's something I can find out for you.
Yeah, if you can just follow up on that, that would be great. Thanks.
All right. Everybody's had their piece, everybody's good. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll much appreciated with the stats and the information. It's information is knowledge.
Yeah.
That's what we have to go forward, and you guys just want to say publicly that you guys and the rest of His Majesty's troops do a hell of a job, and it's much appreciated. We know that sometimes you're just as frustrated as the rest of us are when it comes to some of the goings on around town. So, so thanks so much for coming.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay. Now, Richard, do you need to get a picture there?
Did you want it with all of council or?
No, just the, how many recipients are there?
Pardon me?
Two.
Two, okay. The two recipients beside each other, and then the mayor on the far. I was looking for a good wall to.
You want to do it outside of the flower bed?
No,
You want it up against the door?
you could take down one of these pictures and have a white wall in the background.
Well, there's a space over there, white wall.
Yeah, right here.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. But it's still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. Yeah, we can.
No, it's still not enough room.
Not enough room.
Not enough room.
You want this picture down there?
Yes, please.
right, so how do you want us positioned?
The two recipients, and then the mayor.
Like that? Suck my gut in.
Okay, actually, one of the recipients hold it together instead of the mayor.
All right.
Okay, up a little higher. Yours almost shoulder to shoulder. That's it, up a little higher. Tip the top of it a little, yeah, belly, and then drop yours at your corner down, so that's good.
Hair behind your ears, pull back your hair.
Okay, looking here.
One massage.
Couple more.
Too much pizza. Thanks so much, Andy. Appreciate it. You guys make this town much better. Thanks so much. Thanks, guys. Okay. Any further public delegations? Oh, Jennifer, you're here.
I am here.
All right, seeing no further public delegations, we'll invite Jennifer Churchill to come up and introduce herself.
Good evening. Sorry though, if you have to go east, I left Comiso 45 minutes early and I'm still late. So keep that in mind that you have a pilot truck and I sat for half an hour waiting for my turn to go. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're heading east. My name is Jennifer Churchill. I'm here on behalf of the ANCA or ANSA, depending on what side of the lake that you're from, that the town of High Prairie is a membership of. I'm here on behalf of ANSA, but also of the Slave Lake Region Tourism Society. They couldn't make it tonight, but I'm here kind of representing them. I have a presentation that's not quite working, but I heard you guys have a copy of, and I'm a talker, so I'll just kind of talk our way through it, and you guys can look through instead of going through side by side. So the Tourism Society based out of Slave Lake was born from the Slave Lake fire with the Tri-Council. It was one of the recommendations that kind of came from that group as something to promote tourism. They've had some success kind of promoting that side of the lake in general, and their board has 9 different board members and a council member from Sawridge First Nation, the MD of Lesser Slave River, and the town of Slave Lake. They've been promoting tourism in that section over there. I am the executive director of ANSA. I came on last year in May, and we did the board at that time did a strategic planning activity where promoting regional tourism was number 3 out of the priority, tied for first place, 3rd spot. And so within developing our ANCA website, because tourism was our number 3 goal, I went to go put Travel Alberta onto our regional website, and our whole lakeshore, this whole area is not on Travel Alberta's website. None of us are. So that was incredibly interesting to find out that there's this whole big gape in the north central part of Alberta that's not on Travel Alberta's website. And so that's kind of where our journey has started together at ANSA and the Slave Lake Regional Tourism Society. We have worked together to advocate for the tourism in this region. Through that, we had worked with the Small Community Opportunity Program, which is a grant that's for promoting small tourism at small locations. And it was then that turned us on to the TGP, which is another huge tourism opportunity. There's lots of grants right now available for tourism in the in-between. And they put us on to the Peace River Tourism Society, which we were kind of familiar with. We met with them twice. And then that's when we learned that Grand Prairie has a regional tourism society, that Wood Buffalo, Fort McMurray, all the rest of the northern Alberta regions have a regional tourism society based off of Peace River's structure. And so what that structure is we have some amazing tourism opportunities in a bigger area, that it's too hard in the north to pick a small region to promote and advertise, that they've just constructed a model that does a kind of a bigger picture. And so through the advocation of To Travel Alberta, ANSA has been collecting a list of tourism operators from all the different communities that are members of ANSA, including Thai Prairie, and this region has almost 400 tourism operators. But we're having a hard time getting onto the website for Travel Alberta because they don't necessarily understand that we have tourism, if that makes sense. Most of our tourism operators don't have a website, they don't have Facebook, they don't have a digital footprint at all. But also it's very interesting that the Slave Lake Tourism Society, which just kind of right now promotes the Slave Lake area, they keep on having meetings, but they have people from other districts showing up to these meetings. And there's other tourism operators, including from Big Lakes County and the High Prairie, that are reaching out to them for support. And so this is kind of involved into my board. Now the ANSA board has suggested that I support the Tourism Society into becoming regional, which will include a name change, but to model ourselves after the rest of the regions in the north and kind of promote tourism collaboratively as opposed to just in little shots, right? There's lots of great things across the board. So how that structure would look, like I said, you have the proposal and you have the slideshow, is we've done it over a 5-year plan based off of what the Peace River Tourism Society does. So that the Peace River one has, I believe, 19 municipalities and nations that are members. Once you become a member, one of your council get to sit on the tourism board, which will have a regional restructuring. The bylaws will change, the name will change. But if once every municipality and nation buys in, you will get a representation on the board. It's based on a per capita. Peace River right now is charging $2.85 per capita. We've looked and structured a plan to start at $2 per capita because we can't offer what Peace River offers quite yet. And then we've rolled out a 5-year plan for every year. There's kind of going to be an expansion of what those services look like. The first year, all of your tourism operators would not have a yearly fee. It would just be included in the $2 per capita. The society is looking at how do we provide the most bang for the buck and improve value for service. All of our tourism operators are looking for supports in grant writing. They're looking for supports in promotion, but they're also looking for relationships with each other. So for example, we were meeting with some people up in the Big Lakes County area, more in the Swan Hills region, and they do some amazing winter toboggan, like snowmobiling. But the problem is in our region, our hotels are so filled with industry that there's not really room for tourists, right? And so we put them in contact with a company out of Slave Lake called Traveling Timbers, which basically has glamping trailers that can be picked up and skidded and dropped down year round. And so they've kind of developed some of those relationships. I'm the president of the museum out in Panuso, and having those relationships with other groups and businesses is how we've always done it, right? Like, good to make those connections. So the society also provides the opportunity for that. We're working with Community Futures, which has the same regional borders that ANSA does. They have a bunch of services available for businesses that I don't think people necessarily realize. So lots of the help with digital marketing, etc., it all kind of comes in with that relationship with them, so they're kind of on board. And so right now we're developing a package that when every municipality and nation buys in, this is the services that your tourism operators get, and every year it kind of expands. Any of the I'm sure, I think you guys own the campground outside the hospital, correct? So any of the municipality or nation-owned tourism operations don't have to pay that extra fee once that rolls in, which is $200 a year. That's just included with the town's membership. And one of the other things that we're looking at is a regional calendar from the whole entire lakeshore, what's happening when, right? And how do you, when the High Prairie Gun Show is happening, how do we get people who, that's one of the bigger area, like there's lots of tourists that come into that, how do we get them to add an extra day or so to do some different things over in the in-between there? We have the North Country Fair, which has
thousands of tourists off come in. ANSA's right now doing 3 regional studies, and one of them is a tourism operations study. And they sat and they went to North Country Fair and they're like, we can't believe that this exists in this region, right? But there's very little promotion through Travel Alberta with that, and I think it's a missed opportunity to kind of make it more of a highlight and kind of highlight the region and get people to stay for a little bit longer. There's also quite a bit of winter tourism opportunities in the area as well that even as a resident my whole life, I didn't necessarily realize we have all of these amazing operators doing great things. And so we're hoping to, from the direction of ANSA Board and looking at the Slave Lake Tourism Regional Society, like I said, we'll have a name change. How do we, all these different municipalities and nations, we have lots of the pieces, but we're too small and as individual little small pockets. How do we take all of the pieces we all have together and make this amazing puzzle to get some tourism up into the North Central? And so that's what we're looking for. And at that point, I think I've covered everything on my slide, so I'll stop talking and I'll let you guys answer some questions. Ask some questions, I'll answer them.
That would probably be good.
Right?
Right. Okay. Great presentation. Thank you, Jennifer. Does anybody have any questions? I'll start with this side. Donna, do you have anything you want to ask at this time? Again, we just kind of got this beforehand. So.
Okay.
Therese?
Yeah, I was just wondering, so the Slave Lake region, there isn't a map, I didn't get through it either, but there isn't a map of where that area is.
Sure.
So what do you know about? Maybe you said, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so right now it's just the MD of Lesser Slave River, which goes from just about the Husky on the way to Edmonton up down through at the bottom of Prechuck Hill and the Sawridge First Nation and town of Slave Lake. But we have approached MD of Big Lakes, yourselves now, Driftwell Cree Nation, Sucker Creek Cree Nation, Swan River Cree Nation. The MD of Opportunity has ties with ANSA, so we're going to all the ANSA members first. Kind of this north central square, we're 10% of the province, right? So we're approaching all the municipalities and nations in that square to kind of carve out what our region would look like in that sense.
Okay, and that's where you're talking about the name change?
Yes. Yeah, and no, it's probably would be something along with Lesser Slave, right? Because like more to the name of the lake, but
encompass, yeah.
Yeah, to encompass everybody. That's right.
Yeah.
But right now it's just the 3 members. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Session.
Thank you for being here, Jennifer. Good education and update. I have no questions at this time, but really pleased to hear that we've got it on the radar.
Perfect. Thanks.
Sean?
As well.
Judy?
No, not at this time.
Yeah, it's
gotta
not-
read this first.
No problem.
It's something council will, of course, take under advisement here. I like the idea, having been here and done some of this before. I know that the concern from this end of the lake is that even when we were paying members of previous regional tourism societies, we were forgotten to the point where we weren't even on the map. We weren't there at all. And at that point we said, well, we're done.
Right.
And they said, well, if you pull out, the whole thing's gonna fall. So you don't even have us on your map. So obviously we don't mean anything to you. We pulled out, the whole thing fell apart, and that was 15 years ago.
See, and I was part of tourism back then as well, and I was with the museum, but I think the difference between this structure and the other structure is that if Town of High Prairie joins, you get a spot on the board, right? And so once you have that spot on that board, and everybody who is a player has a spot on the board to kind of take those regional relationships, I think that's kind of the ones that addresses it. The kind of the second thing that addresses that is that ANSA has built a relationship with the Small Community Opportunity Program. The kind of plan is that every municipality and nation that's a part of ANSA, I'll help them with the grant application. It's $90,000 And then $10,000 is what the town would have to put in for some sort of tourism initiative. And so then there would be the creation of the materials and those things that the town would say for sale, and then you would give it to the tourism society to use as well as the in-between. So I understand that's been an issue in the past, but I think using the structure that Peace River already has and is using and the rest of the north is kind of using, that also will prevent that a little bit more.
Well, the fact that there's a board running it and not one person.
That's right, that's right.
Which I think was the problem. So, anyways, thanks for coming, Jennifer. Nobody else has any? Bill?
Jennifer, if you could just, what is the targeted launch date?
So every municipality, nation usually uses it's October or so is when you sit down and do budget, right? So we're hoping as you read through the proposal and we're looking for a 5-year commitment, not that every municipality could pull out, of course, at any time, but we just want it to be we're trying to roll it out in a way that's slow and makes sense, right? And so usually I think everybody's kind of sitting down at the budget table in October. We hope that you'll slap something in and then we'll kind of go from there in the in-between. Yeah. The second part, which we can wait until Brian is here if you'd like, is to talk about some ANSA sorts of priorities and things like that. I don't know if you necessarily have time and you want to do that today, or if you'd like me to come back to have a conversation about some ANSA.
Might be better.
I would like you to come back after we've had a chance.
Absolutely.
Read the material.
Okay. All right, thanks for coming, Jennifer.
You're
If you
welcome.
leave now, you should get home by about 10 o'clock with
Right,
that.
so you're going east. Take some time. You guys have a great day.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, I think we've taken care of our scheduled delegations or public delegations. We will jump to the sponsorship request application from the Children's Resource Council that is in the package, and we got some additional material here. And we move this up, so now we can have to sit here for the whole meeting. Someday I want to make my pizza for me again.
Hello, Dallas Chicago from Children's Resource Council.
So you're applying here now, it looks like, for some of our sponsorship dollars for next year.
Correct.
Okay. And it looks like you wanna, expand what you've got to the point where, well, did everybody get a chance to read some of this stuff here?
Not the new stuff, but the stuff that was in our agenda. Is this exactly the same?
It should be pretty close. Anything additional? So reading this, now, you're asking for $25,000.
Correct. No, it's not.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
thousand?
Okay.
No, I understand that's not realistic. So we did an event, some of you might be aware of it, on June 7th. It was in collaboration with Hard River Housing. We had about 16 organizations, nonprofit organizations, set up tables there. Another 4 factions from AHS set up tables there as well. We ended up having some bouncy castles, a ride, and free barbecue for the public. Anyway, they had a table, gave away some swag, had some activities, things like that for families. We had probably about 500 people walk through there. This was the first time that we've done something like this, so it was relatively quick. Overall cost for that was about 12,700 around that. Okay. So we would like to do it a little bit bigger. This was really good, not just for the participants that came, but also for the organizations to be able to expose, what services are available to families, not just low-income families, but to all families. Right. And going back to a couple of things that were said earlier, even by RCMP, like a lot of the target, when you target families at that younger age and those families, then it helps save off crime later on, right? So we are hoping that a lot of families that do participate and do come to the events that we are holding. And we've had some smaller ones throughout the year as well. We also do Truth and Reconciliation. We did one with AHS and a few other ones, which was an ages and stages questionnaire, where a lot of the families ended up doing vaccinations, things like that. Right, those ones we usually have about 100 people come through, 125 people come through. This one we'd like to expand a little bit more as, again, we do have the gun show, but as a lot of you know that are, from around here, we had expos back in the day, trade shows, where a lot of these people were able to go expose, to different organizations. And a lot of the organizations don't have the ability to be able to do events like this. So it was really good for them, and there was a lot of good feedback from it. And we'd just like to continue doing like an event like this for the community.
Okay. All right, so I guess ask for the moon or go for the stars and settle for the moon kind of thing. $25,000. Now I'm looking at the budget here, and the budget for the whole thing was just under $19,000. Looks like. Am I reading that right? The 1850. So
Yeah.
okay, so really asking for the 25,000, you're asking the town to fund the whole thing.
Well, I'm asking what you guys are able to do. If we are able to get, closer to the $12,000 range, I understand that that's, still a lot of an ask. I did get funded through an organization in Grand Prairie for this last one. But again, it's not always feasible to continue getting the same funding, right? So of course, we're gonna look for other sources for funding without, support from the community as well. We did have, Freezing Weathers, Wholesale Club, Amiros, they all donated food to make sure that the barbecue was successful. That was gonna be an extra cost that we wouldn't even be able to handle.
Okay. Absolutely.
We did briefly talk about the grant request, but what I would suggest to council that you tasked both of us to come back and really be clear what was the budget for the current year program, what is the budget for next year's program, including the funding sources. So our council's grant program is generally targeted for one-off initiatives. You're implying that you may want a multi-year commitment. So I think that's something that should be clear.
It's a possibility. Again, those people that know me know I was born and raised here. I'm always trying to do something for this community, and continue to do things for this community is always important to me. I mean, I don't like to hear, I'm pretty sure James, you're one of them as well, there's a few here that you'll hear people say, well, there's nothing to do in this town.
Yeah.
Right? And we're trying to make sure that people don't say that anymore. Right? It's one of the big things. And we're also not asking for this just as a freebie. So for example, we look at our town park, that it's a little bit degraded, and some support, things like that. We're willing as the Children's Resource Council to assist in writing grants, for the town as well. So just whatever we can do together to make the town a little bit better. It's also bringing those organizations together. And we've been doing it over the last couple of years, and more of these organizations are approaching us and be like, hey, could we do this together? We're like, yeah, okay, let's try to find a way to do it. We look for external grant sources, we try to make these activities and these things go on. Halloween's gonna be another one coming up that we're gonna do in collaborative with AHS and with WJS, just to make a larger event again for the children in the town and the community, right? So this is our goal, is just to continuously do that. And then on top of that, build that network between the nonprofits so that we can do our own fundraising. So we've already talked with a few of the nonprofits about doing, again, more concerts, doing, what's it called? Just different kinds of raffles at those concerts, doing, hopefully James will dress up in a dress and do a little runway kind of thing for us. Just things like that, right? Just little different things that will be good for the community, where everybody's kind of getting involved and showing that we are, better town than a lot of people actually say that we are. And that's always the goal.
If you find a dress that I'll fit in, I'll go Corporal Klinger for you.
Oh, I'm sure somebody here is willing to sell one just.
That's all I'm suggesting through council is, given that it's likely to be a multi-year request, could you expand out, here's what you're asking in year 1, year 2, year 3, your council knows what the multi-year request is and what other funding partners are potentially coming to the table.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think at this point, what we'll do is forward this to the budget, and if you two guys can sit down and hash some of this stuff out, and then when we get to the budget part, we'll have all the details that we need to make the decision. All right, so I will make that motion. Is there any, I suppose we should have made that motion prior to, and are there any? No, it's not a public delegation. It was on the agenda further down as correspondence, and we bumped it up, so now they have to sit through the whole meeting.
So I have some questions.
Absolutely.
So this was addressed, but I would, before I make any decisions, I'd like to know who else are you looking for funding from? This is a big ask from the town. This is coming out of taxpayers' dollars.
Correct.
These are government programs, so are you looking to the government to increase their budget to here? Are you looking for other sponsors? Because it seems like it's always the same ones. I know you mentioned Freezer Brothers and Marketplace, but it's always the same ones that keep getting hit up. So like, we have the ESSO lot. Have you reached out to ESSO to see if they would support something like this? We have Waste Management who makes a huge profit. We have GFL right here in town that makes a huge profit. Have you reached out to these big corporations instead of always hitting our taxpayers?
Well, I have reached out to Pembina, TC Energy, IA Financial. I reach out all the time. I bring in mini grants to the center all the time because our government funding is so low. Like, we end up having our funding is program based. It's just for our staff and for our programs, and very little for materials or anything else to be able to do anything with. So I continuously look for external grants to be able to do these programs. Pembina gave us a little bit of money for some equipment for the center. TC Energy for community garden, which ended up having to go to another, we ended up donating to East Prairie for the fires, for that one as well. For Indigenous programs, you know, we always bring in little grants for things here and there. We just got one from ATV for community kitchens, right? The ask for the town for something like this, which is taxpayers' money, is going back to the taxpayers as well in an event like this. It brings people together. It brings the organizations together. And those organizations, again, like I said, over the last 2 years of me being at the Children's Resource Council, we've seen a lot more collaboration between these organizations, people asking to do these events together, to do some programs together, to do anything together, which is really nice to see from that point of view and that work, and that they want to see more happen with it. So they're trying to do the best they can, but they're all underfunded as well. I mean, to the point where it takes us to be able to do it and find that external money. Like I said, this was funded through North Alberta Foundation, formerly Community Foundations, out of Grand Prairie. And even when I asked for the money from them, I asked for 10,000 of the time, I received 4,700. And there was a person that has their own foundation connected to that donated another 10,000 on top of that to go towards the event. But of course, that's not always gonna happen. So if I can find little fundings from here, different places, then, you know, great. But it would also be nice for the town to show the support for those organizations that do a lot of work for this town. And that's also the point as well. So that's kind of what the whole purpose of doing this as well, right?
John?
I was at the event that they held, and it definitely brought in the children, and parents gave the parents an opportunity to watch their children at the time, as well as engage part of the funding. Like when you look at the budget, they actually take into consideration that not all families are equally blessed financially, and so had wasn't vouchers, but set aside so that people without money could actually engage as well and get some food and be on the rides and everything else.
So,
And
nothing further than that, I know the great work that you and the CIC do, so, and I know that event, because we were there as well, so, yeah, fantastic job.
Therese?
No, nothing for me, just great work, thank you.
Donna? Okay. All right, so, yeah, like everybody said, good job, and sit down with Bill, and this will go forward to our 25 budget deliberations, and we'll figure something out that's gonna benefit everybody.
Perfect. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, so I guess, we have a motion on the floor right now. Yeah, we do. Did we make a motion? Oh,
I don't think so.
thought I did. Anyways, okay, I will entertain a motion then to receive that information and forward to budget deliberations.
There's two things. Are we receiving the information or are we forwarding it?
Yes, both things. You can just do things in one motion. To forward it to budget and receive for information.
I'll write down my email address.
I'll make that move.
Thank you, John. Okay, any further questions? All those in favor? Carried. All right, so, back to our regularly scheduled agenda. Liz, you're up.
Good night.
See you, Richard.
Alrighty now.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. You should have my report in front of you. I'm just going to highlight a couple of things. We did receive the new engine rescue on August 7th, and thank you for Councillor Tishin and CAO for attending the welcoming committee to the truck. My folks have worked extremely hard, and together we have essentially got that truck into service. We did a practice over there last night, got some things figured out, but I think it's a good addition to our fleet, and folks are happy, and I'm extremely happy. So it was a welcome addition, and like I said in my report, it's been a 4-year process to get that truck in the hull, and hopefully it'll serve our community for another 25 years. So good thing on that. The rodeo parade, we participated in the rodeo parade, and basically there's kind of I think a misconception that we sort of determine the route and whatnot. It's not actually us that determines the route, it's the Elks that determine the route, and there were some people that were requesting a change in the parade route, so I've referred them to the Elks to have that discussion. So I will leave that in their hands, and basically we are just basically the provider and operators of the event. So just want to make that, or have a clarification to that. I'm sure you are all aware of the incident that happened in Jasper, and just a clarification, we did get a request late Wednesday evening to provide resources. I had a connection with the person that was actually boots on the ground in a briefing session, and we got some information that basically any resources that we could provide were, 7 hours later, they had 155 firefighters and an excessive amount of equipment, so that's why we did not deploy. But we were requested, I did a request, and I did have members that were willing to go forth and assist in Jasper. There was a concern about when we had the Microsoft issue. I think it was Microsoft.
Yeah.
I did check with GP911 with their new system, with the next gen system. I guess it is robust enough that there was no glitches or any disruption in service for our area. Apparently there was in other areas, but I guess with the advancement of the system that GP has, they sidestepped all of that issue. And the last one, just again a clarification, fire bans, as you are probably aware, the town did go under a fire ban And basically, we follow the fire forest protection area because it surrounds our area. We will follow the forest protection area recommendations or not policy, but what's that?
Directives?
Directives, thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. So we will follow what they basically lay out. And when we got the rains, it took them a little while to make that decision to ensure that the rain was going to do what it needed to do. And Monday, the fire bans were lifted. Had a few requests, and basically what I do, and if you ever have people asking you, please refer them to albertafirebans.ca. That is the website that I have a link to that I will update, and that is the accurate information. It will identify what you can and cannot do, all defined in there. That's the site to go to. So with that, that's my report. If you have some questions, I am now open to questions.
All right, we'll go around the table again. Donna?
Nothing for me,
Okay, Therese?
nothing for me.
Sasha? John? Judy?
Of course I do.
So, in your report, you say you are participating in the grant application and waiting for council, if council would provide support for this application. How can we do this?
I need a letter of support from council that will basically agree to the free application. So I need the letter of support from you guys. So I reached out to, I need the letter of support from town, and I also need a letter of support from, and I've sent a request to the Alberta Forestry. So I need to get a letter of support from them as well.
So if I could, through the chair, there will be an RFD to that effect coming forward, so that will be addressed in the RFD, asking for the letter of support, so it will be forthcoming.
Okay, thank you. Is this time sensitive?
September 16th is deadline.
Okay.
I have the application completed. I have sent it to 2 people to review. They have sent it back and said, looks okay. So basically, it's just a matter of getting my letters of support. Once I have that, I can submit it. Once I've submitted it, the information that I was given, it was late October that they will potentially make a decision on it.
Okay, good. No, I just want to know how we could help you out with this application.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks.
I see you got the invitations up for Christmas party. Anybody bite yet?
We have approximately, I think it's just under 100 confirmed and paid. What we did this year is we did a discount if you showed interest prior to August 1st. It was $70 instead of $80. We are still limiting it to businesses at this point in time, and then I believe it's end of September we open up to general population.
Who's the comedian?
Pardon?
Who's the comedian you have booked?
I can't remember off the top of my head. It was recommended to us by Chris Lochran from CX Energy.
Okay. That's just curious.
I wish I could tell you, but I just honestly I can't remember.
What's that? All right. Okay. No further questions there. Everybody's all good. So thanks for coming out, Sis. We have a motion on board to accept this for information. Oh, didn't we do that? I'm doing these things all backwards, aren't I? Okay, so I will entertain a motion to accept the fire chief's report for information. Thank you, Donna. All those in favor? Carry. All right. Next up, we have, I will entertain a motion to accept Constable Bloom's report for information at this time.
I'll make the motion to accept Peace Officer Bloom's monthly report for information.
Now that we have that on track. All right.
Evening, Deputy Mayor, Council. This was brought forward this meeting because I won't be around for the end of the month. So That's why I'm here tonight.
Okay.
Just, business as usual here, trespass tickets is issued. We did a ticket for violation of contravention of fire ban notice.
Okay.
We've sent out, contractors to clean up 5 unsightly yards that weren't, applied. We received the county's, annual noxious weed report, which compiled up to about 55 sites around the town. We are actively working with Dylan and his staff to send out notices to the property owners and contractors to properties that are town or right of ways that they've notified or identified. And plus that, excuse me, we're still actively patrolling for other unsightly, uncut grass and stuff like that. With that, I'm open to any questions council may have.
Okay. Judy?
I have a question, but I hate to ask this because I haven't had a chance to read your CMP report, but your trespassing tickets, is that is that over the CMP report? That's extra?
Yeah, that'll be based on our notices we've sent out to
Okay,
individuals.
yeah, okay, thank you, that's it for me.
John? Sasha?
Well, first of all, Alan, thank you to you and Joel for the patrols. I've seen you guys out more often and in early morning hours and so forth. So how's Joel liking it?
Oh, good, he's sitting in.
Settled in a little bit more?
He's on his own, yeah. And yes, we have changed our schedule to accommodate the early mornings and the later evenings, so. Yeah. To see us out more often now.
Yeah, thank you. Secondly, I know you mentioned the unsightlies and there's more patrols. Does that include the latest email that, I know you were copied as well. Does that include Mr., I don't know how to say his last name, but Sheldon's, does that include that? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Trish?
No, nothing for me, thanks.
Don?
No, Sasha took my question.
Took mine too. Bill?
If I could offer some comments on some of the emails we've been receiving on unsightlies. Police officers are doing their best. As you can see, at the end of June, they've done more unsightly inspections than the previous 3 years. That will continue. Staff will be bringing forward potential changes to the bylaw, but we haven't been directed by council to do that to date. In addition, what I would suggest through council is this item be considered as part of the budget deliberations to get broader feedback from the community before blanket changes are made to the bylaw. Because there's some pluses and minuses on both sides of the fence related to unsightlies. So rather than dealing with an email request, council take a more holistic approach to deal with it from a policy perspective, and that requires administration to come back with additional information and data.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Sasha, yes? Or, oh,
Oh, that's me. I haven't written
Yeah.
such. Oh.
Did you go first?
No, I was just gonna say, make a mention that you probably see a big difference being not by yourself. You know, because it gives you that flexibility, right? To be able to change the patrols, move them around, basically make it work. So that's great to see. It's good to see Joel
Yeah, that's,
with us. And
yeah, that's correct.
great, thank you.
So this is a comment, not necessarily directed at you, just to everyone. So you know how we talk about enforcement and it's, you know, people with unsigned leaves in that back alley. On the flip side, I don't know, I've only noticed this one, but I thought it was so amazing that there's this one household that in the back alleys, you know, there's that strip of, they've like, I don't know what they've done, they've like, made it, it's trimmed, it's beautiful, it's grass, and they've actually planted, I want to say magnolias or some marigolds, you know, so they've actually beautified that space. I've never seen anyone else do it. I mean, a lot of yards keep it trimmed, but they've gone one step further, and I know we have a Citizen of the Year, but this is like Yard of the Year or something like that. It's such a pretty landscaping, like it's nutty, I love it, it's just beautiful. I was gonna take a photo and send it, you know, but I think that's the flip side of, you know, the unsightly, that's like the role model of the town. Let's make us all look bad, but that was a
Hopefully
very
more will,
yeah,
Exactly,
Oh.
it'll catch on, yeah.
yeah, it's beautiful, it matches their, it's just beautiful.
It's been done before, actually, where they've had garden here. I think, Alan, I think you were in on the judging of it, if I remember correctly.
it's been a few years back.
Yeah, we've been here for a little while.
Yeah, that's beautification.
Yeah, not a bad idea, maybe the idea moving forward to them, and they can, check it out, so, where's the camera? Chris, check out that Yard of the Year thing, great idea. All right, any further questions for Councilor? All right, so we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor? Carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. What's that? There's a what? Oh, bio break, yes. We'll take a bio break for, what do we, 10 minutes?